Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to contain some gameplay of and my impressions on the Postmortem Panic Onslaught Event. So this event is happening right now in Dragalia Lost. It started yesterday. It features a very cute story with Halloween Akasha and Halloween Melsa. So definitely check it out if you haven't checked out the story already. I'll be talking about all of that in this video, but if you're not familiar with what Onslaught events are, these are typically mid-month events that are a little bit lower in terms of the production value, have a cute or charming story often, and focus on dragon battles and solo play as the main forms of gameplay. So typically in a given month in Dragalia Lost, we usually get one really big headliner event toward the end of the month and the start of the next month. And in the middle of the month, we get an event like this, or a defensive battle event, that isn't too unique from a gameplay standpoint or presentation standpoint, but does bring into play a cute story. It's just kind of a nice opportunity to get some rewards for free. And so that's kind of how you have to see these things. It's not going to be on the level of Forgotten Truths, but in a way, it's kind of nice to wind down from everything we had with the second anniversary, which I know for some players was very overwhelming with all of the goodness, all of the craziness that happened, and now have something that's a little bit quieter and that you can kind of do at your own pace. Another thing that changed as of the release of this event is we went from a period of double Gatherwing recovery, which is used for co-op, to double stamina recovery, which is used for solo play. So right now you can do a lot more solo play. There's still a few days left with double drops on some of the solo high dragon trials if you want to try those out. And also we have a lot of golden honey that you get, and just all sorts of honey you get by playing this Onslaught event. So one of the best things about these event types is they're a great time to stock up on honey for solo play. You come out net positive, even going up to the 2 million rewards mark. And other than that, I mean, there's just a good selection of rewards in there, including elemental tomes, which are right now pretty much limited to these event types, with one exception so far, I think, being the Omega 3 raid from Forgotten Truths. So yeah, you're going to get 5 water elemental tomes and 5 wind elemental tomes from this, which you can use to unlock shared skills. Certainly seems like for water, bringing Frostbite has become a more popular choice. In the DPS simulation, it seems to be very effective. Frostbite's a long-lasting affliction, lets you run Frostbite Punisher. A lot of enemies weren't immune to Frostbite because it was introduced late in the game's life. So it could be a consideration to maybe unlock, Karina's shared skill, Xander's, or Pinon's. I personally unlocked Karina's because I already had her built up to 70 nodes. So for me, that was the one that made the most sense. It's a source of Frostbite, but also has some good utility on its own, with it doing a lot of extra damage depending on the amount of buffs on the user. Xander's is kind of in a similar spot with an even lower cost to share. But for the wind tomes, that one's a little bit more questionable what you would want to unlock. I really haven't found a go-to wind shared skill so far. Personally, I found Wedding Aoi was one I wanted to unlock because it helped me reposition my characters for autoplay, but it hasn't been as much of a factor in 2.0, so at this point I don't know that I could necessarily recommend that in the same way I once did. So yeah, I might hold on to the wind ones for now, but for water there's a variety of good options. The other good option I would want to mention is Lily's shared skill. If you have her mana spiraled, it's a guaranteed freeze on characters who can be frozen, which is very strong as well. So that's kind of my take on the tomes and the rewards from this. I'll show off some of the rewards from the treasure trade as we get to the end of the battle, since there are some stickers in there that are very cute. But I guess speaking of cute, maybe we should talk about the story a little bit. So I've said that to describe this story a couple times now, cute, and that's honestly how I would describe it. Like, these stories are very quaint, they're very silly. So far we've had one of these events that was on the more serious side, and I would say that was the one with Cassandra and Curran. But they're kind of, yeah, they can strike a lot of different tones. That one was definitely on the more serious side. Even the one with Nefaria and Nadine, which I'm going to group in here because defensive events and Onslaught events are kind of the same thing. It's just a little different what you actually play. dragon battles versus defensive battles. But this one was certainly on the goofier side. I never expected us to see Melsa and Akasha paired together. It's a pairing I never knew I would have wanted, but I kind of love how they interact. It's very, very funny how much more dark and adult Akasha is compared to Melsa, who's just like bubbly and cute. So cute to the point that she can't convince anybody as a zombie. And if you played in Japanese, you could hear her audio. Her impersonation of the zombies was simply delightful. Like, it's just really delightful. Now, the story itself, very goofy, but did take on more of a somber tone toward the end. I like that they kind of got the ancestor appreciation elements of some of the October holidays in there with the families of the Diurnal descendants who moved to Alberia getting to actually meet their ancestors. That was kind of cool. I didn't expect it to take that sort of serious of a note, given the levity to it all. But I thought that was kind of a nice touch. And yeah, Melsa just going like, ooh, that's my best impersonation, but hers was way cuter. Like, hers was actually so cute. Was one of my favorite parts of the event for sure. I don't think it's voiced fully or voiced in English. It might be slightly voiced, but I don't think it is. I haven't actually checked that. I played it on my phone, which I tend to play that one in Japanese, and on my iPad I have it in English. And that being said, though, maybe we're going to get, when we get Melsa and Akasha summonable, which I sure hope we do, and it certainly seems like we will, hopefully then we will get to hear that English zombie voice from Melsa, because, yeah, that was great. That was definitely a highlight. We also got to see Akasha using glamour and her vestments to basically persuade the zombies to do as she commanded or do as she bid, which was interesting. So I wonder if that's going to play into her kit at all. Given that the water and light tomes were present in this, or water and wind rather, I assume that these characters are going to be water and wind elements. And because a Roken repurposed the Manicaster, funny how these Manicasters just start showing up in the story, right? Like, now that Manicaster is a weapon type, it seems to be that one of them will be a Manicaster. It looked like Melsa wielded the Manicaster at one point in the story, so I could see her wielding it, and maybe it could even be like tomato juice / blood gun or something, because she does have like blood grenades at her side in her artwork, or at least it looks like that. Definitely have a tomato icon on there for sure, so yeah, we're certainly getting some Leo vibes from that. But otherwise, cute story, nothing else to report. I saw that Juden had a unique costume that may give some players hope that Juden's going to get an alt, but I wouldn't really hold my breath on that. They've been very conservative with giving Juden alts at all. The only one he got was Gala Juden or Gala Prince. I think it's intentional that he doesn't get any alts even though he has different artwork. So yeah, I think that was mainly for the event. And as for the presentation of the event outside of the story itself, compared to past Onslaught events and defensive battle events, I do think that they tried to do a little bit extra. So for example, they were able to repurpose some of the Halloween assets from Trick or Treasure and use the music from that as well. So one of the cool things they added on a couple of the maps was you actually fight some zombie soldiers, which is a new enemy type, I believe. And some of the maps had backgrounds similar to the Halloween facility event backgrounds. So yeah, there's some nice charming elements to it. They also used Juden's new Halloween portrait on the event page rather than what they normally do for these. And I like that. I've always wanted these events to have a little bit more production value, even though they are more of a filler event. And so I feel like they were able to step it up a little bit this time. You can see here, I had to do it. I had to 4 gold Fafnir this. I think it doesn't really matter. You get more points by using dragons of the appropriate element, but gold Fafnir is just really cute, and you get a little bit of extra rupees. I'm not too concerned with not meeting my point count just by doing daily endeavors toward the end of the event. I'm sure that I'll eventually hit 2 million points, so losing out on a few points here, it's all good, but getting to battle with the gold Fafnirs was pretty fun. Anyway, one of the other cool things that was added to this was Astral Mercury. So we'll have to go through a little story scene before we can unlock that, and then I'll show off my Astral Mercury first clear. But fun, similar to Astral Midgard-Stormer. It's a nice little touch on these Onslaught events that do focus on dragon battles. And as before, it surprises me to see how many players find this to be challenging. And I think it's actually very good training, because essentially this just tests your knowledge of these high dragon fights and the move patterns that come out. So by practicing in this astral environment, which is comparatively safe, it's pretty good preparation for doing those types of fights in the real world, right? In co-op or even in solo play. Granted, nowadays with the high dragon banes, those fights look completely and radically different. They are more like Imperial Onslaught. I've seen several players make that comparison. They're more like an easy to grind out farmable thing than a pure endgame thing compared to pre 2.0. But yeah, essentially it sort of just tests your knowledge of, do you know the patterns of this? Do you know the tells? Do you know how to dodge and which way to go? And also, there is a certain level of stats that you want to have to make it easy for yourself, otherwise you're going to last quite a while into those fights. So it seems like the cutscene is very similar to the one we got last event. It might be exactly the same, as far as I could tell. But let's talk a little bit about what the banner implications could be, because we have the Dragon Special right now, and I fully expect we're getting a Gala remix coming up. My question is only, we're probably getting summonable Akasha and summonable Melsa, but prior to now, every Halloween character has been limited. They haven't been part of the permanent summoning pool. So if they introduce them on a Gala remix, are they going to just make them permanent? Or are they going to be limited yet added to the Gala remix for whatever reason? And I'm kind of dreading this, but honestly, I think that they would probably do a Gala remix with Cerise, and she did have a role in the story. She is the next most relevant character on there. And that, unfortunately for me, means instead of doing those 300 summons, or 300 worm sigils, I guess, to get Gala Cerise, I could have done them on this upcoming banner, most likely, if it turns out like I think, with Gala Cerise, Akasha, and Melsa, and turn some of those extra Poseidons I happen to be getting into a Melsa or into an Akasha, which I would have certainly much rather liked to have. I knew that, of course, going into my worm sigilling for Cerise, so I'm trying to mentally prepare myself. I kind of knew that that was a possibility. I just didn't expect there to be a Gala remix with Cerise so soon. We have to wait and see. Perhaps it's not a Gala remix, it just could be a straight up seasonal banner with those two on it. But I doubt this is the last we've seen for Halloween, and I doubt it's even the last we've seen of Akasha and Melsa, rather. So yeah, I think that, remember what they did during the summer. There was a defensive event at the beach with Patya and Mikoto. And after that event ended, or during the event rather, they were summonable on a Gala banner. But after that event, after that Gala remix, there was another event, Doomsday Getaway, and those characters made an appearance in that event alongside new summer characters. So what I expect is there's going to be another Halloween event toward the end of the month for the regular Gala banner, and in that story we're also going to see Melsa and Akasha appear. And I just realized I may have been saying Cerise at times instead of Melsa, so I apologize if I accidentally mixed them up. You can see as far as this Astral Dragon fight that it's pretty straightforward, basically just dodging. And one thing that I messed up on was at the beginning. I didn't expect it to be like high Mercury on Master difficulty. On Master is the only time when the dash forward sends out a rock slide. The earlier difficulties is just the dash, so at the very beginning I took one hit, which was unfortunate, but nowhere close to lethal, thankfully. This was a particularly dicey segment. Maybe would have been better off to go toward a corner, but managed to position myself just okay in the center there. See those exclamations, so I tried to iframe, and yeah, there's not too much to this battle, as far as I can tell. You just kind of have to dodge appropriately, know the tells, and have the endurance to defeat it. There are epithets, endeavors rather, tied to how quickly you can beat it, but as long as you can clear it within 5 minutes, I think you get all of the endeavors for it. So back to the banner speculation, I really don't know what other weapon type would be on the showcase. Maybe I could see Akasha being a wand instead of a staff if she's still using her magic. That might be a good way to take her. But Melsa I kind of think is going to be the mana caster. And for the rest of Halloween, who knows which direction they'll go in. I really hope it's a raid personally because we just haven't had that before as far as our Halloween events. Remember from this month in Dragalia Lost that we still have the Accursed Archives coming back pretty soon. We have a new story chapter, a lot of other content coming this month. Next week is going to be the master difficulty of the Twins Agito battle. So there is certainly a lot else happening in the meantime, and personally I'd love to see a raid event that takes on some of the Cthulhu mythos, the Lovecraftian mythos of Dragalia Lost. Because we had Stirring Shadows, we had Accursed Archives before that, we're going to get them back, and it would be great to have that build up into a raid event where we fight one of the Lovecraftian style gods of Dragalia Lost, like a raid boss Nyarlathotep, that's what I'll call him. Yeah, it would be cool to see Lathna get an alt, maybe Heinwald get an alt since Curran already has one to go alongside this Akasha alt. They are certainly beloved, they're very fitting for Halloween, they might be too on the nose, but that would be my dream scenario because I love that mythos. I think it's super cool. You can see I'm just collecting my rewards here, kind of scrolling through some of the good glory rewards that you want to get, and I'll collect all of my 89 things in my goodie box in just a second, and then the treasure trade and endeavors page as well, finish it out. But that's pretty much more or less going to do it for this video. I don't really have too much else to say as for the event itself. I enjoyed it. Simple enough, fun gameplay, but pretty basic. I'm glad to get the extra resources though. We're in that double stamina recovery. Once the High Dragon Stop double drops for solo play, I'm going to finally pick up from the event compendium, the Trick or Treasure facility event, because I still need to complete that and get my rewards from that. But that's pretty much the plan for me. Oh, we got our adorable stickers. Champion's Testament, always good. There were a lot of Twinkling Sand in here this time as well. Let me know what you thought about this event in the comments below. I'd be very curious to hear what you think. I'm also curious, Melsa or Akasha? You know, who would you rather summon? But yeah, that's really going to do it for today, everyone. Thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.